guys, I am ready for lesson 5 of module 18 on page 473 in your math workbooks. So the title of this lesson is Use Line Plots to Display Measurement Data. So a line plot is just another graph or another way to represent data. So we've done picture graphs, bar graphs, now we're doing line plots. Or dot plots. I might call them dot plots. Those are the same thing. Okay, so the I can statement says I can use a line plot to display measurement data. The Spark Your Learning says Nina measures the length of 2 candles, each from a different package. What is the length of each candle? So they are lined up onto this ruler, and so we'll look at the edge. The edge of this green one is right here, so it's on a part, not a whole inch. So let's look at how the inches are divided. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts until the next whole inch. So we're past 1 whole inch, and then we're at 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 and 3/4 of an inch. So we're at 1 3/4 for the green one. And then let's look at the pink one. The pink one is past the 2-inch mark, and it is at, again, 1 2/4, which is the same as 1/2, so 2.5 inches. So then we go to our line graph, our number line, and which is basically like a line graph, and we'll find 1 3/4, 1 3/4 right here, and we'll just put a dot, and 2.5 is right here, we'll put another dot. So the turn and talk says, how could you show 2 candles with the same length on a number line? So if we had a bunch of these green candles that were all the same length, we would just put a dot at the same spot just right above it. Maybe there are 5 candles with all the same length, and maybe 3 of the pink candles. So we would just do a dot right above it to show, hey, these are all the same lengths. So this is a line plot or a dot plot, just showing different amounts that have the same length. So pretty straightforward. Let's go through the build understanding and practice using a dot plot, a line plot. Okay, number 1, Kendrick makes candles. He records the number of candles and their lengths on a tally chart. Then he makes a line plot of the data. Okay, so it says you already have used, over in our connected vocabulary, you already have used number lines. A line plot is a graph that uses marks to record each piece of data above a number line. So again, we're using a number line and just marking how many objects are at that point on the graph. So here are all the candle lengths. I'm gonna fix that a little bit. Okay, so here are all the candle lengths, and you put a tally mark for each one. So you'll see, it's kind of cool with the dot plot or the line plot, is that you can easily see like which one has the greatest amount, the greatest number. It kind of looks like a mountain. Okay, so part A says, which candle length does Kendrick make most often? And so here, if we look at our graph, the bottom shows us candle lengths in inches. So this is like our line graph, our number line. And then each X represents 1 candle that is measured at that length. So we have 2 that are 1.5 inches. So at 1.5 we have 2 X's. So which candle length does Kendrick make most often? Well, this one right here has the most amount of X's, so these are the greatest number of candles, and they are all 2 inches. Which candle length does he only make once? So if we look at the graph, which one only has one X? That would be this one here, 3 inches. How do you know if there are any candle lengths on the line plot for which no data was collected? Well, if no data was collected, there wouldn't be an X there. So like on 2 1/4 inches, there was no data there. And then how can you describe the data? Let's see. So we could describe the data, we could say, we could count up how many X's there are, and that would tell us how many candles were made. So we could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So you could say Kendrick makes 21 candles. Most of them are 2 inches long. And I know most of them are because that has the highest number of candles. And then I could say there are no candles that are 2 1/4 inches long because there's no data there. All right, next page, it says, Bob's Candle Shop sells candle wicks with different lengths. So here's our dot plot, our line plot. So on the bottom we have the title of the graph. Remember, all our graphs have titles. Number of wicks sold, April 7th through 14th. So each X represents one wick that was sold, and then the numbers show us the inch or the length of that wick. Okay, so you can use a line plot to compare the data. Part A says the shortest wick length is, and so if this is just a number line, the shortest number would be the furthest left, and that is 5 inches. The shop sold blank of the shortest wick. So remember, the 5 represents 5 inches, that's the shortest, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 X's, which means there's 4 wicks sold that were 5 inches. So the shop sold 4 of the shortest wick. The longest wick length is, so now we're going to the opposite side, 6 1/2 inches. The shop sold blank of the longest wick. How many X's do we have? 1, 2, 3 X's, so that means we have 3 wicks that are 6 1/2 inches long. Part E says, compare the data for the shortest and longest wicks. The shop sold blank more of the blank wick than the blank wick. So we have the shortest and the longest. So let's look at the data. We have 4 of the shortest and 3 of the longest. So the difference between 4 and 3 is 1. So the shop sold 1 more of the shortest wick than the longest. How do I know it's not longest than shortest? Well, because of this word right here, 1 more. So 1 more of the shortest. We have more short wicks than we do long wicks. Okay, so kind of an interesting way to represent data. A little more different than the picture graphs and bar graphs. The check understanding says use the line plot above. How many wicks did the shop sell? To find that out, I need to count all of the X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 wicks. I had to make sure that was correct. The shop sold most of which wick length? So that we want to look at our graph and look at which one has the most X's. And that would be barely the 6 1/4. The wick that is 6 1/4 inch. All right, last page. But on your own, it says, Faith and Raul used some candles at a party. After the party, they measured the lengths of the candles. Lots of candles in this lesson, I don't know why. Faith says that the line plot shows that 9 candles have a length of 3 inches. Describe the mistake that Faith makes. So this is a very common mistake for line plots. So if we look at this, the bottom title says candle lengths in inches. So that means that these numbers represent the length in inches. Then the dots tell us how many of whatever it is that we're measuring. In this case, it's candle wicks. So the X's represent how many candles have that length. So at 8 inches, we have 2 X's. That means we have 2 candles that have the length of 8 inches. So she says that 9 candles have a length of 3 inches. And that is so silly because we don't even have 3 inches on our number line. It starts at 8 and ends at 9.5. So what she did is she said, oh, 9, that must be 9 candle lengths, or 9 candles, and they're 1, 2, 3 inches. Okay, so that is way off. She just switched it. Okay, the numbers tell us the length. The X's tell us how many objects are at that length. So you would write that all out here. Number 4 says, how many more candles have a length of 9.25 inches than a length of 8 inches? So let's compare. So 9.25 and 8. So how many candles have a length of 9.25 inches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles at 9.25. 2 candles at 8 inches. So what's the difference between 5 and 2? 3. So there's 3 more candles with a length of 9.25 inches. Part 5 says, how many candles do Faith and Raul use? So that would be all of the X's, because each of the X represents a candle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 candles. All right. Number 6 says there are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. The heat from a lit candle makes solid wax become liquid wax. How many candles dripped to a length of less than 8.5 inches? So remember, Faith and Raul had a party. They used these candles, and then after they used the candles, they measured them. And so this is all the data of how tall these candles were after they were lit. So now we say, okay, they are lit, they become a liquid because of the melting wax. So how many candles drip to a length of less than 8.5 inches? So let's look at 8.5. We want to look at numbers less than 8.5. So we're going to look at the left side of 8.5. So all of these, and count up all those candles that are less than 8.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 candles drip to a length less than 8.5. And there you have it. Okay, so that is lesson 5. You're going to do the homework, and then you're going to come right back and do lesson 6. Or you can go right to lesson 6 and then do both homework assignments at the same time, or take a break. Of course, it's okay to take a break. I know that it's kind of overwhelming to do 2 math lessons in one day. So thank you for trying hard. Thank you for doing your best. Take a breather, take a walk outside, and then come back and do the second math lesson for today. Or get it all done and out of the way, and then you can play afterwards. Whatever is going to be best for you. So thank you for all your hard work, and I'll see you in the next lesson.